Welcome back. So we are going to conclude the end of summer review sprint with a couple surprising sets. So first up here we have Tin Hi-Fi P1 Max, the big Panda. So quite nice looking shells. The back is a nice little pattern and the rest of it's kind of plain black. So I say surprising because I just couldn't get into this set. Every track I listened to, I would make it about halfway through, and then I'd have to put Timeless in and say, does Timeless sound like this? And then I listen to Timeless, I'm like, oh, this is how it's supposed to sound. And literally, like every track, I just kept on listening to Panda for a little bit, and then Timeless, and I just couldn't get into the big Panda version of most tracks. It's boring, I think, is a pretty good way to describe it. They kind of roll back the planarness of probably a very, very similar driver to Timeless, and it's just a little bit less V-shape, so it was probably fine to turn the bass down a little bit. I think in ear they're probably closer. I'm not sure that they're really 4 dB apart, but this part is really what you hear the difference in, and I think Timeless just does a better job of presenting the whole lower, upper mid, lower treble with enough detail and clarity, separation, all those things that Timeless was sort of known for when it came out. Why it became such a big hit was you were hearing these technicalities that you didn't find in other sets at that price range. And I think Big Panda sort of rolled those back a little bit and tried to make something that was just a little bit easier on your ears, maybe sound a little bit more like a hybrid. And I think in doing so, they lost a little bit of the planar magic. So I don't think it makes a great hybrid sounding set, and it doesn't really make a great planar set. It's sort of caught in the middle limbo, and I don't think it. For me, I'll just take Timeless, Dioko, S12. I'd probably take most of them over Panda. It's just nothing that I felt like I needed to listen to for any amount of time. So let's move on to something even more surprising. So the HiFri 1+3. So this is Jeff's HiFri set. So a good friend bought it. The guy who loaned me all the rest of the sets actually bought this one from Jeff. And those of you who may have caught Michael Bruce's review of the same set, I actually got this one right after he did. So a little tour for the HiFri 1+3. So I have to admit I was super surprised, and I think I had actually read other people's impressions of this set, and I never really looked at that twice. I sort of thought, okay, it's kind of an interesting set. Maybe in the future I'll look at something else he did. But then when I listened to it, it's very much a 100% fun hybrid sounding set. Big V set. I mean, you can kind of see this shape of the graph. Lots and lots of bass, lots and lots of treble. He's got 3 BAs kind of cranking through. Very nice treble right there. What I would say is it's sort of reminiscent of some of the older KZ flagships. It has that much fun to it. Perhaps a lot more fun than maybe a natural sound to it, but I will say that my favorite part of this set is it's really, turn it up to 11 fun style of set. And some people may not like V-sets. I happen to like V-sets, and I happen to like this one very much for that one reason. You can just turn it up way, way high. Bass is banging. BAs are pumping out. Lots and lots of treble at a really nice level that doesn't get too peaky, not too fatiguing, but, I would just say it's tons of fun. Very engaging, unapologetic V for V fans. And I think the tuning, and I talked a little bit about this with Tony said, Tony tuned the BAs and the DDs to really sound as one single driver, and I think Jeff sort of took the other approach and say, let's sort of optimize both separately. So give it lots and lots of bass, push it to the max that driver can handle, and then do the same thing for all 3 BAs. And the BAs sort of tuned as a group are tuned to sort of balance against this big amount of bass. So tons and tons of bass, really balanced out with almost the same amount of treble energy here, and really nice extension. And I think this is just a classic V-shape done very, very well, but in that style. So don't think of this as, that Jeff and Tony tuned in a similar way. These are two very, very different takes on a hybrid. And I happen to like both of them, but this one definitely takes me back to those older KZ hybrid sounds where people would say, yeah, tons and tons of fun, maybe not as natural as I would want, but you can basically rip through your playlist and it's just amazing amount of fun. So on the con side, it's definitely a big V, and as I said, not going to be for everyone, but I like a big V. Not in every set, but it's good occasionally. And Jeff did this one quite well. And as I said, it's not super natural, so the BA-ness of the timbre, it definitely works better on electronic music, but for more affordable sets, I don't really mind it, because what you're actually getting out of it is this, when you take a dynamic driver that on its own may not be able to have as much detail as you would get, and then through 3 BAs at it, and you sort of take that detail and speed beyond what the DD alone can do. So as far as affordable sets where you get an affordable dynamic driver that may not be as capable, this is the KZ model of add a couple more drivers to it, and you actually do take those technicalities a little beyond what the driver can do on its own. So, but the downside of that is the BA-ness of the timbre is not going to work on, not going to be supernatural, but on an affordable set where I just want something fun, I'm just going to listen to music and enjoy it for a couple hours, this is absolutely perfect for that. And the separation of DD and BA, when you tune these two sort of separately, so you're sort of optimizing both separately, I think it does, the BA has tended to show off a little better than the dynamic driver, and they just said, well, I wish the dynamic driver was just a little bit tighter, that resembled, maybe a little tighter coupling to the balanced armatures, just a tighter sound to the dynamic driver, which would have matched the kind of the speed and sharpness of what the balanced armatures are doing, just to close the gap between the two a little bit more. But that's kind of a nitpick. But yeah, I think for those of you who are into really big V-shaped sets, very much look up Jeff. I don't know if he's actually still doing the 1+3. This one goes back a bit of time, but yeah, very, very surprising how good this one was and how much fun it was. And especially listening into it in comparison to this guy, which is a little bit devoid of fun for me. So I sort of cheated, and I was listening to the Big Panda, and then I'm like, I want to go hear what Jeff's set sounds like. And Jeff's set sort of ruined my experience for Panda, because Panda's a little bit on the boring side, and Jeff's set's about equally as far on the fun side. So I will take fun on most days. So again, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.